5 of the best side hustles that I'd recommend to anyone in 2024. In a world where financial stability is paramount, side hustles have become our secret weapon. And it can empower us to seize control of our financial destiny and create opportunities where they don't actually exist. You see, beyond my role as a marketer and an aspiring financial counselor, I'm a dad and I'm a husband, 2 titles that carry immense weight and responsibility. With every day, I'm driven by the desire to provide the best possible future for my girls. But it's not just about the money, it's about the freedom and it's about the flexibility that the side hustles offer. They're a chance to not only pursue our passions and explore new interests, but carve out our own path to success. And when done right, these side hustles actually become a catalyst for growth, not only personally, but of course, professionally. But of all channels, why listen to me? Well, I have a decade of experience in marketing and advertising, entrepreneurship, and that includes a couple collaborations with the folks like Kendall Jenner and Kevin Jonas, and I'm honed in my skills in identifying lucrative opportunities and maximizing the potential of those opportunities. As a dad, a husband, and someone who's looking to be a better steward, I understand firsthand the importance of diversifying my income streams and leveraging side hustles to secure a brighter future for those around me and use my resources for the glory of God. Side hustle number 1, algorithmic trading. This is something I just started doing. So you take these algos, you install it on your computer, and then it's day trading. Now, what it really does is think of AI and all of the market data that these day traders are analyzing on a daily basis. Imagine that being processed in real time. And then AI is actually making market decisions for you. They're placing orders, they're setting stop losses. If you don't know what any of this means, just ask me below and I can do a specific video on this. So I'm about 100 days into it. If you're following me on communities, I've been talking a lot about this and about how it's going. If you followed me since I started my YouTube channel and my becoming a good stewardship career, I never really believed in day trading, and I still don't. I don't think that someone just taking the time to become a day trader, I don't think that's a successful gig, because you just don't have either the speed of news and information, and at the same time, there's an emotional component that for me, it just doesn't work. 90% plus of people who day trade just end up losing money. They can't stick to a system, they're not focused enough. So again, that's just one of those things that I personally just avoided. Now, the algorithm eliminates all of my cons. The algorithm it's not emotional, it has speed of information, it has speed of placing the orders. It's not emotionally attached to any of the orders. So like if it's going one way or the other, it's not greedy because it automatically is setting up targets. So once it hits the target, it's gonna exit. And if you are losing, once it hits the stop loss, it's gonna exit. So like I said, if you head over to the community section of my channel, you can follow my 90-day trial on one of these things and how it's working, how much money I've made or lost, what it is, etc. One of the reasons I decided to try this, I got it from a friend. It is a US-based company, so it's not overseas. They don't actually hold your money, so you set up your account with the brokerage. They install the algorithm on your brokerage account, so as soon as you wanna either put more money, pull money out, it's 100% in your say-so. And of course, the performance reports looked great. Now, previous performance does not indicate future results, but it's a good start. So how to get started with this one is not that hard. Obviously, you're gonna need some trading capital, and you need a minimum where the algorithm can work the way it's supposed to, depending on which algorithm you want to run. It varies anywhere from a couple $1,000s to 6 figures. You also need to understand the trading platform, the ins and out. I feel like I made a pretty big mistake early on where like I had a power outage at my house and disconnected the computer from the Wi-Fi, and then I was actually stuck in a trade. The trade started going the wrong direction, and I actually wasn't sitting in front of my computer to pull out of it. I ended up losing like $1,000. But again, it's one of those things that like, you just don't know what you don't know. So you have to start small, test it, and then once you gain your confidence in it, then you can kind of continue rolling it out. I would say from a passive income side of things, this is definitely a 5 out of 5. It doesn't require any time. It doesn't require any level of management, right? It offers a moderate level of passive income potential. The initial setup and strategy development required, etc., the thinking through it, that's all kind of done for you. The automated execution allows for genuine passive income once all your systems are set up and established. All right, so side hustle number 2 is actually not a side hustle. It's a second job. And I know this isn't, technically a hustle. It's actually better. With the technology that we have today and a few efficient systems, I think anyone can essentially build wealth while working 2 jobs. Consider the increasing financial concerns of Gen Zs and millennials as well. Taking on a second job has almost become paramount, and people have to do it to just maintain their lifestyle. Now, this involves obviously securing additional employment beyond your primary income, and it serves as a means to boost the cash flow that you currently have, and it also alleviates a lot of the stress. Let me give you a couple of facts. So according to Deloitte's survey, almost half of Gen Zs, 46%, and over a third of millennials, 37%, currently actually hold a second full-time or a part-time job alongside of their main employment. Now, this trend has actually been on the rise, with more individuals actually opting for a second job compared to previous years. Personally, I've done this a couple times throughout my career, and let me tell you a little bit about the pros and the cons. So I've done like full-on second jobs. I've done full-on part-time jobs. I've actually done both at one point, where I had 2 full-time jobs and 1 part-time job. But I've also done things like I've done Uber Eats, DoorDash, and I've done like Lyft. Things that you kind of do it around your schedule. So I think it just depends on where you're at, okay? So for a full-time job or even a part-time job alongside your primary, let me tell you some of those pros and cons. The biggest pro is obviously the second income. The flexibility to do things with your family is obviously like by far incredible. You won't be able to get a better income stream than this. It also adds a couple of levels of reliability. So in case if one of your gigs goes out of business, doesn't work out, you're not actually unemployed. So that gives you an additional peace of mind. This is a bit overlooked. The other thing, and this one I think gets overlooked a lot, but if you actually have 2 full-time gigs and they're actually in the same field, so in my case it was marketing, it can actually tremendously accelerate your career development. Think about that, right? You're doubling down on experience. And this actually even makes you more valuable in the workplace. In the time that it takes somebody 5 years to get the equivalent of 5 years of experience, if you're working 2 full-time jobs, you get 10 years of experience in that same time period. Now, you're also learning tremendously faster than anybody else. And again, I only recommend you doing a second job, like full-time like this, if it's in the same field. Now, some of the cons. Obviously, I think stress is a big one, but I think if you can bite the bullet for a year or 2 and you're able to, like, let's assume you have a ton of debt and a lot of bills, right? If you can actually just take the stress of the debt, put it on a second job, you will be using that stress to actually eliminate your debt in a much shorter period. So if you're gonna have to deal with stress, you might as well do it in a way where you're using stress to eliminate future stress. So yes, that large second income stream will catapult your life, help you pay down a lot of debt, buy some assets, and set yourself up for the future. Honestly, for me, it's the only con, is like that additional stress. Now, another thing I see is sometimes there is a little bit of overlap. So like, meetings get booked at the same time and trips, etc. But it happens very seldom. Like you're not gonna have every meeting on top of another meeting. You're not gonna be able to shift. Like that's not gonna happen. It does take a little bit of effort for you to go back and forth in your thinking, right? So if you're focused on doing something for one organization and then you shift and you have to do it for the other organization, there actually is a delay into, hey, let me completely shift gears and get back into the zone, or completely switch tasks, etc. There's a little bit of a delay there. The way I typically do it, I schedule my day in tranches. So I will do one organization for a long period, if not the full day, and then switch back and forth. Now, keep in mind, I'm working fairly longer weeks, usually sometimes on the weekends, and I've built an entire team around me as well, and I'll get into that in a couple of minutes. The other thing is I'm always looking for ways to become invaluable to these organizations, right? I am not just trying to be some sort of freelancer. Over time, I'm actually able to work anywhere from 50 to 60 hours for each one of them. Well, and this is what I was talking about before. So I actually have a team that helped me with a lot of the grunt work. I actually end up outsourcing it, and I've built some really cool systems where the quality of work actually increases, the efficiency of work increases, and I'm focused on tasks that solely require my attention, right? I'm using guides and I'm using looms, and all of this allows you to make it happen. If you guys actually want to learn a little bit more about that, just comment below. Maybe I could do a dedicated video just on that. Also, while I'm on this, do me a big favor. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I actually just hit 1,000 subscribers. So I'm trying to obviously continue growing the channel and continue putting out quality content just like this one. So how to get started with this, I would say take a look at your schedule and your availability, right? If you're already working from home, this is infinitely easier. So you essentially have to get a job that allows you to fit it into your schedule. When I was looking to find work that was from home, it actually took me about 3 years to find something that I actually wanted to do. So in the meantime, over the course of literally 3 years, I continuously applied and I did interviews and I was looking for something that I could actually find. Now, the first thing that I found was a good job. It was actually a pay raise from my previous one. The problem was, man, they loved meetings. I'm talking about like 6 or 7 meetings on a daily basis. And you understand that if you have meetings, you don't have time to do your actual work. You're just stuck in meetings. As soon as I got that job and I was like 2 or 3 months into it, I was like, man, I'm gonna continue my search and I'm gonna have to find something better. At that point, I actually had that work from home job and I had 2 additional part-time jobs. So I was doing like Facebook ads, business branding, etc. And again, those 2 part-time jobs almost felt like a second full-time job, but I was just trying to fail as quickly as possible so that I could at some point succeed. So one of the things I recommend is just leverage your network. You probably know people who are looking for someone that can give you an opportunity. It's probably already in your phone book somewhere. Consider potential challenges, of course, such as, conflict in schedule, overlapping tasks, and ultimately what you have to do is develop strategies to manage all of your tasks, everything that's coming at you, all your messages, and keep your productivity at a very high level. Now, if I was to give this a score, I think the side hustle, just because of how much you can earn, I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars. It does require a lot of dedication, time, and effort, but the potential to have 2 income streams is like way beyond traditional employment, right? It provides you a level of financial stability and peace, and in the long run, will very quickly allow you to build some wealth. Side hustle number 3 is, this one's kind of a given, but freelance. I think a lot of people are overlooking this. They're looking at these YouTube videos and they want to reinvent the wheel. They're trying to do things that are like entirely different. Well, you don't have to. There are entire industries right now where they need a lot of freelance work. COVID has allowed us to think beyond borders. So people are not only hiring remote workers, but they're working with people that are completely unknown to them, right? And this one's interesting because if you have a full-time job, you can work on a project by project basis rather than just being tied down. And obviously, like, our works typically are in cycle where there are gonna be moments where you're gonna be more stressed. So you probably wanna step back a little bit. This allows you to do that, and having a second full-time job really doesn't. And then when you're kind of feeling more energetic and in better spirits, etc., you can take on more of these freelance projects. The freelance market is rapidly growing. There are literally millions and millions of Americans opting for freelance as either a side hustle or actually as their career. According to an article from Upwork, the 19 highest paying freelance gigs are the following: business relationship manager, business consultant, medium buyer, photographer. Anything that's doing with AI right now is blowing up. If I were you, I would pause this video, take a look at AI prompting engineer. But anyways, keep in mind that some dying fields can actually become very lucrative since no one is entering into those fields, and they can actually end up being a really good alternative. While all of the noise is like in this AI world, if you go back to something like traditional media buying for a couple of years, you can milk that while you find something else. The price is actually going to be really good, and because there's not going to be a lot of competition, there's a big likelihood that you would get that job first. So how to get started? Obviously, you need some sort of portfolio, right? Depending on what your specific skills are. In my case, it was marketing and branding. So I took a bunch of websites and I obviously did screenshots. I put them on freelancer.com and Upwork and 15 of these other websites. I reached out to some of my contacts because obviously, like, people around me also need marketing work too. But ultimately, you just want to showcase what you can actually do and attract potential clients, right? Sometimes it might be volunteering or participating with someone else just to get things going and working at a friend's startup, etc. You need to build a portfolio and display it well. If I could go back in time, one thing that I would do, instead of bifurcating my time and energy across multiple platforms, I would just focus on one. Because if people come to freelancer.com, they're likely gonna come over and over and over. And if you have, 100 reviews, but it's a few reviews here, a few there, and so on and so forth, you're not as desirable of a candidate as someone who has all 100 reviews in one platform. And then of course you want to apply for projects. So I'll give you guys a quick hint on this. Don't just apply to every project. It is very crucial that you make the message and the outreach custom to the person. One of the things that I do is whenever I need a freelancer or I need a work project done, I actually put in the middle of the job description, which I make them very long, I put in some sort of math problem. And I put a sentence in there, like the middle of the paragraph, that says, hey, start your listing with this. What is 57 divided by 6 plus 1? So then when someone messages me, it's like, hey, Mr. Viana, I think I'm a great fit for your project, I automatically disqualify them. Now, when I see that they, answer at the very top and it's like 12 or whatever the answer is to that equation. If they answer with 12 and then they come in, then I know that they actually took the time to read it and they are a viable candidate. After like 100 of these, 100 people that apply to my freelance job, probably 3 or 4 are the ones that are actually intentionally taking the time to read. But I'm telling you, very quickly I eliminate a big portion of everyone who applied. So find specific jobs that you think you're gonna be great for and then apply to those versus just casting a wide net. So as far as like a star and a rating on this, I would rate it 3 out of 5 stars. Because while freelancing gives you a lot of flexibility and autonomy, it actually requires a lot of active involvement, and you're finding clients and managing the clients, managing the projects, and it's kind of limited, right? I would say there are other income streams that I would focus on first if I was looking for a side hustle. Side hustle number 4 is Turo. Now, Turo revolutionizes car rental by providing a platform for individuals to rent out their vehicles. I am doing this right now, and I have a video coming up right after this one actually. So if you would, subscribe to the channel and you can check out how much money I've made renting my 2020 BMW 330 series on Turo. Turo's great. It offers a diverse selection of cars from practical to very luxurious, empowering both hosts and the renters to make most of their automotive needs. So if you have a car that's just sitting in your lot, you want to rent it, great. And if you're a renter and you don't want to deal with a rental company, you go to Turo. Now, Operates is actually the world's largest car sharing marketplace. Obviously is available in the US, in the UK, Canada, Australia. So if you're watching this video outside of the US, it probably still applies to you. Its mission is to optimize the utilization of the world's 1.5 billion cars. And it's really tapping into the potential of idle assets, offering a sustainable alternative to traditional car rental services. How to get started? Obviously, you just sign up as a host on Turo. They're gonna do an onboarding session with you. They're gonna look at your car, see if your car is viable, see if it's obviously safe and people wanna actually rent it. You take some pictures, write some descriptions, which I use ChatGPT to do for my car, and I made it like adventurous, so that was pretty interesting. But ultimately, they want to make sure that your vehicle insures and meets their safety and quality standards. From a passive income side of things, I think it depends on the car that you have. Generically, I would say this is probably like a 3.5 out of 5, because although Turo actually does offer good passive income with an asset that you just have sitting and not doing anything with, it does take time, right? You got to talk to people, you got to go wash the car, you got to drop off the car, pick up the car, etc., manage bookings. Like, it does consume your time. Some of these other ones that I mentioned here, not as much, and it does consume your time, but I feel like the ROI is not as high. Whereas like a second job, you're going to consume a lot of your time, but you're also going to make a lot of money out of it. So again, if you want a lot more details on Turo and how my journey is going, just stay tuned with the channel. That's coming right up. So the last one is picking up and charging scooters. This one's fairly new, but like here in Fort Lauderdale and Miami, we're starting to see this pick up a lot, where instead of you taking an Uber or walking or public transport, you just pick up one of these electric bikes, electric scooters. It'll get you where you need to go, and then you just kind of like leave them out on the sidewalk. What ends up happening is people come up and pick them up in the middle of the night or whatever, take them home or somewhere, charge them, and then drop them back at these like base stations. These companies will pay people for each one of the scooters that you pick up, move, and charge. It's a lucrative side hustle where individuals can earn money by collecting and charging these scooters. There are companies like Bird, Lime, Spin, and a couple of other ones, but Bird and Lime, for instance, they actually will hire these independent contractors to pick up the scooters, and all of this is happening overnight, so it's a good side hustle if you have a day job, because you can do this at night. To get started, you really just need a truck or a van or something, but the basic earning potentials could be anywhere for $5 to $6 after you drop them off. So if you pick up 20-ish scooters on any given night, maybe you pick up 100, who knows? You just do that times 4 to 5, and that is how much money you could actually make on one go. So it's actually not bad money. You can also accelerate this, of course, by getting a bigger vehicle so you can pick up more scooters, and then supercharging, which can go actually a lot faster. Now, there is competition, right? So if you go to an area that's highly dense, you're gonna see some competition, but that probably means that there's gonna be more scooters. I would say earning potential can increase and as you become more efficient and effective in locating and charging these things and then dropping them off. So as far as like a passive income score for a side hustle, I would call this a 2 out of 5. Just because of a couple of things. One, you're probably gonna dent up your truck or your van. Two, you actually have to pick these things up, right? Some of them are not heavy. If you're on a smaller side person or not as strong, then you might have an issue doing this. So it's not really for everybody, which actually what that means is for the people that it is good for, it might be really good for because competition is, again, a little bit lower. So I would say picking up and charging scooters could be flexible, profitable business, and it could provide you with a steady income with very little investment. There you have it, guys. 5 of the best side hustles that I'd recommend to anyone in 2024. Of course, I think that every other video on YouTube is including AI stuff, and I think that's already a given, so I left that out specifically of this video. But if you want to get into AI, I have a video coming up about that as well, so make sure you check that out. If this video is of value to you, I would appreciate you subscribing to the channel, and in the comments below, if there's something you want me to talk about, just let me know. I look at the comments, I read them, and I try to respond as often as possible. God bless you guys. Have a great day.